All right, today we're going to dive deep into a dessert that just about everyone loves, but almost everyone gets wrong, the German chocolate cake. We're going to uncover its true origins, break down the science that makes it so unique, and figure out why its wonderfully messy look is actually a sign that you've done everything right.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to blow the lid off the cake's secret identity. Then we'll get into the kitchen, figuratively, to create that perfect chocolate cloud texture. After that, we absolutely have to tackle that famous coconut frosting. And finally, we'll put it all together in what I like to call beautifully chaotic assembly.
Okay, first things first, we have got to talk about that name.
So you've probably spent your whole life thinking this cake has some deep roots in Germany, right? Well, nope, not even close. It has absolutely nothing to do with the country. The name is a classic case of mistaken identity, and its real story is 100% American.
So the story actually starts way back in the 1800s with a guy named Samuel German. That's German, his last name. He worked for Baker's Chocolate and developed a new kind of sweet chocolate bar. Fast forward 100 years to 1957, a woman named Mrs. George Clay submitted her recipe to the Dallas Morning News, and the key ingredient was German's sweet chocolate. The name got shortened, it stuck, and a legend was born. All right, now for the main event, the cake itself. The goal here isn't just to make a chocolate cake. We are aiming for something incredibly light, tender, and delicate, what we're calling a true chocolate cloud. So how on earth does this cake get so unbelievably airy? What's the secret? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a powerful trio of leavening agents all working together in perfect harmony. And here is that power trio right here. You've got your usual suspects, baking powder and baking soda, giving it that initial chemical lift. But the real magic, the secret weapon, comes from the millions and millions of microscopic air bubbles you whip into the egg whites. When they hit the oven's heat, they expand and create that signature, impossibly light crumb. Now here's a fantastic little pro tip that makes all the difference. To really deepen that chocolate flavor, instead of dissolving the chocolate in hot water, the recipe calls for hot coffee. And don't worry, it won't taste like a mocha. The coffee just has this amazing ability to amplify the chocolate notes, making it taste richer and more chocolatey. So when we talk about creating a chocolate cloud, it all starts with this one critical step, creaming your butter and sugar. And I mean really creaming it, on high speed for a good 3 to 5 minutes. You're not just mixing here, you're literally forcing air into the fat, creating a light, fluffy, pale foundation that is absolutely essential for the final cake. Now about those egg whites. You might think you can just whip them up and call it a day, but that's not quite right. Adding sugar is the absolute game changer. You see, without it, the air bubbles you create are super weak and just collapse. But when you add sugar, you're creating a strong, stable, glossy meringue. That is what gives the cake its structure and keeps it from deflating. Okay, this next technique sounds a little counterintuitive, but trust me, it's brilliant. It's called the sacrificial dollop. You take your first big scoop of those beautiful, airy egg whites, and you basically just beat it into the thick batter. Yeah, you're deflating that first scoop, but what it does is lighten the rest of the dense batter, making it so much easier to gently fold in the rest of the whites without losing all that precious air. And the result of all that careful technique? The batter you're left with isn't heavy or dense at all. It's just so light and airy, it really is like a chocolate feather. We've got the cake part down, but let's be honest, a German chocolate cake isn't complete without its iconic partner in crime, that gooey, nutty, utterly decadent coconut pecan frosting. So this is not your typical buttercream. This is a cooked custard that you make right on the stovetop. You start by melting your base ingredients, and then you have to stir it constantly for about 8 to 12 minutes until it boils and gets nice and thick. The second it thickens, pull it off the heat. Then you stir in your toasted pecans and coconut. And here's the key, you have to walk away. Let it cool for at least 30 minutes until it gets that perfect, thick, spreadable consistency. And I have to give you a really important piece of advice right here. You will be so tempted to stick a spoon in that pot and taste it. Do not do it. It is basically molten sugar at this point, it is hot as fire, and will give you a nasty burn. Patience is a virtue, my friends. All right, the moment of truth has arrived. We have our feather-light cake layers, and we have our cooled, luscious frosting. It is time to bring them together in the final glorious assembly. The assembly actually starts by putting a little smear of frosting right on the cake plate.
Think of it like an anchor. It'll keep your cake from sliding around. Then you put down your first layer and go to town with a generous scoop of that amazing, gooey frosting. From here on out, the key is to just embrace the mess. You just stack the other layers, pile the frosting high on top of each one, and just let gravity do the work. You want it to cascade and ooze naturally down the sides. No need for perfection here.
Seriously, let go of any preconceived notions of a perfectly smooth cake. That messy, rustic, overflowing look isn't a flaw. It's the signature style of this cake. It's supposed to look a little chaotic and totally decadent.
And when you finally take that first bite, it all makes sense. The cake itself is so tender, it just dissolves on your tongue, like a chocolate cloud. And then you get that frosting, which is chewy and nutty and substantial. It is just the perfect union of textures and flavors.
So there you have it, a truly American invention. A delicate, airy cake crowned with a luscious, wonderfully messy frosting. It's a testament to how a humble recipe can become an absolute legend. The only real question left is, what are you waiting for?